For the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's invocation is being offered by Council Member Jamie Holland.
Bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for the servicemen and women who keep us safe and allow us to do the servant's work of our citizens, even those that we disagree with and those we agree with. Amen.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of the members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of our July 19th meeting? And a second. So without objection, the minutes will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
There are no messages from the mayor.
Thank you very much. We're at the point on our agenda for elections and confirmations. The first is for the vacancy on the Health and Educational Facilities Board. We have two nominees, Shirley Corey and Sarah Rosen. We're going to use the machines for this. If you're going to vote for Corey, you will use your green button. If you're going to vote for Rosen, you will use your red button. Everyone, please cast your ballots. Oh, I am so sorry. Councilman Adkins, could you give us your committee report? I just skipped right over you.
That's okay, Vice Mayor. I've only got one more meeting left, so anyway. The first nominee was Shirley Fitzgerald Corey, and also the second nominee was Miss Sarah Sadie Rosen, and the committee found them both to be qualified for this particular position.
Thank you, Councilman Adkins. Everyone, please cast your vote. Has everyone voted? Madam Clerk?
Corey 6, Rosen 26.
Okay. Rosen is now on the Health and Educational Facilities Board. Congratulations. Councilman Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Rules and Confirmations Committee met, and the first was and considered the first appointment to the Community Corrections Advisory Board, the appointment of Miss Martisha Johnson. The committee approved 11 for, none against, and I move her approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Adkins.
Next was the appointment to the Electric Power Board for Mr. Robert Mendez, and the committee approved 11 for, none against, and I move the approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Adkins.
Next was the consideration for the Tourism and Convention Commission, the reappointment of Mr. Patrick Franzoni, and the committee approved 11 for, none against, and I move his approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Adkins.
Next was the Transportation Licensing Commission, the appointment of Mr. Sal Hernandez. The committee approved 11 for, none against, and I move his approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Adkins.
Next was the Wastewater Hearing Authority, the reappointment of Miss Ruthie Brown Cherry, and also the reappointment of Dr. Robert Wingfield. The committee approved both 11 for, none against, and I move both of their approvals.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman.
Vice Mayor, that completed our business for the Rules and Confirmations Committee.
Thank you, Councilman Adkins. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Martisha Johnson, Robert Mendez, Patrick Franzoni, Sal Hernandez, Ruthie Brown Cherry, and Robert Wingfield. On behalf of the Metropolitan Council, thank you for your willingness to serve our city and to volunteer your time. Thank you very much. Oh, Ms. Rosin? Sadie Rosin?
She just left.
Okay, sorry. A public hearing regarding the acquisition and financing of certain public improvements within the proposed Biltmore Ridges development and the assessment of cost against the owners of the property within the development. There will be no public hearing tonight on this matter since the final documents were not completed and made available for public inspection. A future public hearing will be scheduled by the council once all the documents are completed. Next on our agenda is Substitute Bill 2011-935, changes .36 acres from R10 to SP zoning for property located at 2631 Smith Springs Road to permit residential and low-intensity non-residential uses, including a single-family residential dwelling unit and a two-family residential dwelling unit, personal care, instruction, general office, and/or medical office. Councilmember Wilhoit.
I'd like to open the public hearing, please.
We'll need to see the slides first.
Okay.
This is Council Bill 2011-935. It is a request to rezone from R10 to SP to promote residential and general office uses, medical office uses, and personal care instruction. The council lady has indicated that she is preparing an amendment to remove the medical office and personal care instruction uses. The property is located at 2631 Smith Springs Road, and the Planning Commission recommended disapproval. The current zoning is R10, which permits single-family and two-family residences on a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. The proposed SP would permit residential or office uses within an existing building. The medical and office and personal care instruction uses are proposed to be removed. As the existing building is to be used, this is a regulatory SP that specifies uses, limits the floor area to 2,000 square feet, and prohibits parking within the front yard. All other bulk standards are based on the R10 zoning district for residential uses and the ON zoning district for office uses. Any new construction would require a final site plan be submitted for review and approval by the Planning Commission. This property is within the Neighborhood General Land Use Policy. This policy does not support the office uses included in the SP. As this property and the others along Smith Springs Road are between two neighborhood centers, the Planning Commission directed the staff to host a community meeting to determine if the neighborhood center policy should be expanded. The community did not support the expansion. Even with the removal of the medical office and the personal care instruction uses, this SP still permits general office, which is not consistent with the Neighborhood General Land Use Policy. This is a view of the property that is outlined in blue. The adjacent property was rezoned to SP in 2008 to permit a barber shop. The SP approved by the Planning Commission and the Council was intended to be the end of the commercial expansion along Smith Springs Road, and the SP required a solid concrete wall to signify the transition from commercial east of the wall and the residential to the west of the wall. Here's another view of the property, and the Planning Commission recommended disapproval because the request is not consistent with the Neighborhood General Land Use Policy, and it is not consistent with the prior council action that established the adjacent lot as a transition between commercial and residential uses.
Councilmember Wilhoit.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I open the public hearing, please.
Please raise your hand if you're in support. Thank you. Please raise your hand if you're in opposition. Anyone in support wishing to speak, please come to the lectern. State your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name's Corey Carney. My address is 5170 Hickory Hollow Parkway in Antioch. The reason I was coming in support of this property to become commercial property is because really it's what the business owner, the kind of guy he is, and the type of businesses that I've seen him take with his barbershops, how positive the change has been from what it used to be to what it is now. I've seen the property he purchased, which was, the house was kind of run down, and him beautifying the house, the area around it, and how positive it's been for the community since he took the house and made it into the barbershop. It looks, I think the house that we're talking about now was actually a foreclosure. He's, beautified the area, landscaping, cleaned it up, painted it, and the type of business that this is, it's not a high traffic business. It's not anything that's going to make traffic change at all. It's just really more so office use and a phone and internet. So I just wanted to come show my support because it's a high school friend, grew up together, and we're proud to death of him of what he's doing here in Antioch.
Thank you. Anyone in opposition wishing to speak, please come to the lectern.
Good afternoon, council members, vice mayor, neighbors. I'm Karen Johnson. I live at 2928 Moss Spring Drive, 37013. I'm here at the request of many neighbors who have expressed various concerns regarding the proposed ordinance this evening. You should have received an email from Mr. Bevel outlining many of their concerns. One of the things that they are having an issue with is the fact that when the neighborhood center language was amended and added to the SP, which included the medical office as a designation, that is what caused concerns from the neighbors. They don't feel like they've had a voice, and they don't feel they've been given ample opportunity to discuss what is truly being proposed for this property. Once the zoning is changed, whether he stays the owner or not, that is what is concerning the neighbors. They do not have a problem with the improvements that Mr. Jordan has made to the barbershop. They think he's been a tremendous asset to the community, and he's been an exceptionally good neighbor to them. And so they would like to keep it that way and keep the dialogue positive, and they would like to ask if this is approved tonight that it remain SP Neighborhood General, and do not change it to SP Neighborhood Center. That will include the language for a medical office use. Thank you.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Wilhoit.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor and members of council. First, I want to say that first I ask you for approval with a brief explanation on second reading.
We have a motion for approval. Is there a second? Okay, council member.
Okay, yes, Vice Mayor and members of council. First, I want to say that we've always had meetings whenever it's come for zoning requests that come before the council. One of the things I've always done as a council person is before a person even consider to do a zoning, when they contact me, I tell them to have a meeting before the meeting. Do not pay your money. Do not put any money, do not pay any type of fees, but you need to get a thermometer of what the community is feeling before you pay any type of fees for a zoning request. The reason why I do this is because, we also not only support our constituents and our community, but we also want to be able to support smart development and be able to provide those opportunities for win-win situations to come about. And by doing so, I would not want any business person or any individual to lose their money, even though it is a gamble, to lose their money when we could have actually prevented and made it a win-win for everyone, not wasting a community member's time to come to a meeting. None of that. That meeting was held, and in the request of it, the OR 20 was the initial request. And as a result of the OR 20 that came up in the meeting, I stated to Mr. Jordan, would he be willing to do an SP, which would give greater control to the community. If you notice, there have been SPs that have been done along that corridor, and the reason for that is to give the greater control of the community, to protect the community. And by the way, I live in that community, so I'm very much for protecting it. And nothing else than more than what I would like to do is make sure that I give a voice to the community. So after we did that, the neighbors agreed that an SP was much more comfortable than an OR20, and so Mr. Jordan proceeded with that. With that being said, when the SP did come up, because I did explain what was an SP, and many of the members who were at the meeting, they had been at other SP meetings when zonings were held. For instance, the SP of Mr. Jordan, which is the next door neighbor property, and also the property on the corner. All of those property are within the same proximity of this existing zoning that we're considering today. So the same constituents have been involved, and they were very much aware of an SP, and I explained that. But even removing with that point, with the language that came from the council, from the planning commission, Mr. Jordan had only asked for a neighborhood, asked for a general office. He did not ask for medical office. He did not ask for personal use, personal care use. And that immediately was removed out of the language. In addition, he has asked for amendments in reference to handicap parking because his business is to serve the disabled, providing jobs for disability, for individuals who have disabilities. That is what he's doing there. And that would only involve 2 persons employed, and one of them would be Mr. Jordan. Additionally, Mr. Jordan has agreed to, if there was a sale of the property, he will reverse it back to its original zoning. These are the things that the neighbors have asked for, and Mr. Jordan is looking at those things and making to see if it could be possible. A meeting has been scheduled for August the 11th. A meeting has been scheduled for August 11th at the Una Church of Christ. That meeting will begin at 6 o'clock. I invite any council member to come out. At that time, we would like to, with the draft amendment that you should have on your desk, I think Rosie is bringing it out, but the draft amendment that you will have, those are the things that's being considered. All of those things we may not be able to include. It depends on if we're able to include it, and we'll be looking to John to help us with that. But of the things that we're going to be including, there may be other concerns to come out of the community meeting. And this open draft amendment would be able to encompass those concerns if possible. And so with that being said, I do believe that Mr. Jordan has been working with the community. He's been listening in the community. He does business in the community. And he's also very engaged in the community and cares about the community. And I care about my community. And that's the reason why we're trying to create this balance so there can be a win-win for everyone. There will be a third reading, of course, and at that time, additional concerns can be raised. But in this meeting, we can also include any of those concerns that's raised by the community in the amendment. And so with that being said, I ask you for your approval on second reading.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Berry.
Oh, thank you, Vice Mayor. I was just going to yield my time to Council Lady Wilhoit if she needed more time.
She didn't even use all the time she had.
I know.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. We'll need a, no, it's not on third reading. My apologies. Motion passes. We are now at resolutions. RS 2011-1765 elects one member of the Board of Directors of the Health and Educational Facilities Board. Councilmember Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to move for approval, but I believe is there a substitute there? I'm going to move approval, and there's a substitute.
Give the committee report.
Oh, sorry. The committee approved the resolution 11-4, none against. And I move the substitute. And I'll explain what the substitute is, Vice Mayor.
Is there any objection since we need to deal with this since we just had the election? Seeing none, Councilman.
Thank you. It's just actually the substitute is putting the actual name on the resolution. So I move the substitute.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the substitute, please say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute passes. Councilman Adkins.
Now I move RS 2011-1765 as substituted.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1766 authorizes a temporary boundary modification for Foreign Trade Zone number 78 and authorizes hiring of a consultant. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve as substituted, 7-4-0 against. And I move approval.
Is there a substitute?
Yes.
Move?
Oh, yeah, move the substitute. I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second on the substitute. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Substitute passes. Councilmember Berry.
I would move as substituted.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1767 approves an application for a grant from the Tennessee Literacy Coalition to the Community Education Commission. Councilmember Berry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Education approved 8-4 and 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 9-4, 0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1768 approves an amendment to a state grant to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to make resources available for Keystone Automotive. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Toller.
Personnel approved, 7-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 11-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1769 approves the waiver of pension benefit overpayments made to 35 pensioners. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Toller.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Personnel voted to approve, 7-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1770 approves a contract between Metro Social Service Commission and Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee to provide food assistance to eligible citizens. Councilmember Forcum.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Forcum.
Health Hospitals and Social Services voted to approve 4-4, 0 against. And I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1771 approves a state grant to the Metro Board of Health for food safety services. Councilman Forcum.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilman Forcum.
Health and Hospitals voted to approve 4-4, 0 against. And I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1772 approves a state grant to the Metro Board of Health to provide family planning services. Councilmember Forcum.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Forcum.
Health and Hospitals voted to approve 3-4, 1 against. And I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If the sponsor could explain to me, is this $854,600 all for contraceptives?
It's for education primarily. Services that are required by state law that the health department has to provide. This is just the annual grant that funds that educational program.
Okay. I just saw where it said persons eligible for free medical services, and we all know there's no such thing. Somebody's paying for it. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry. We need a machine vote. A machine vote on 1772 approving a state grant to the Metro Board of Health. Has everyone voted? Madam Clerk?
Aye 28, noes 3, abstentions 2.
Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-1773, approves a federal grant to the Metro Board of Health to provide services for pregnant and parenting women. Councilmember Forcom.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4 and 0 against.
Councilmember Forcom.
Health and Hospitals voted to approve 4-4, 0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-1774, approves an amendment to an agreement between the state and the Board of Parks and Recreation for implementation of the Warner Park Trail Linkage Improvement Project. Councilmember Berry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Maynard.
Parks approved 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is RS 2011-1775, approves a memorandum of understanding between Metro Government, the Board of Parks and Recreation, Metro Nashville Airport Authority, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Friends of Bells Bend related to the construction of wetland at Bells Bend Park. Councilmember Matthews.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Page.
Transportation and Aviation voted to approve 3-4-0 against.
Councilmember Maynard.
Parks approved as amended 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Matthews.
I would like to, do I have to move the amendment first? I would like to move the amendment.
We have a motion on the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The amendment passes. Councilmember Matthews.
I would like to move the bill as amended.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1776 approves a state grant to the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management to subsidize Metro's emergency management program. Councilmember Langster.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you. Public Safety voted to approve 6-4, 0 against. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1777 approves an application for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant from the United States Department of Justice to the Metro Police Department for technology purchases to benefit various Metro departments. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Can I have the committee report, please?
Councilmember Langster.
Yes. Public Safety voted to approve 6-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1778 approves a cooperative agreement between Metro Government and the U.S. Department of Agriculture for a stream bank stabilization project on the Cumberland River adjacent to the Waterford subdivision. Councilmember Jernigan.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Jernigan.
Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1779 authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the lawsuit against the Metropolitan Government brought by Stephen D. Albright and Kathy D. Albright on behalf of the estate of Shelley Albright Hernandez in the amount of $150,000. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve 12-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-951 amends the Metro Code by adding a new Chapter 2.190 governing rulemaking by Metro government departments, agencies, boards, and commissions. Councilmember Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. First on the committee report, the committee moved to withdraw 11 for, none against. And I'm going to move to withdraw with a brief explanation.
I have a motion and a second. Councilman Atkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The reason why I brought this bill over the last 8 years, getting the departments, boards, and commissions, I've always felt like we had not a good process in place for rules and regulations. And so what I did was I thought of ways how we could improve that. And so I mimicked this particular bill after the state of Tennessee on how they do rules and regulations. Well, when I filed the bill, the only intent of this bill was to, number one, if there was a substantial policy change in a department, board, or commission, to hold a public hearing. The second intent of the bill was to place that rule or regulation on one central location. Those were the two little things that I tried to do. But over the course of the last 6 months in trying to figure out how to do this, a lot of questions and concerns came up. At first, I worked with the Department of Law, who actually advised the particular language, worked with John, Department of Law, several other departments, and basically this bill has gotten slow walked to death because there's no more time left. But I made a commitment that I'm going to withdraw the bill because there are some significant questions about the bill, but to ask another council member to maybe take this concept, develop it, and move it in the next council. So with all that said, it is hard to be more transparent to the public. And you would be shocked to know that almost every department had some type of issue with being more transparent. And and I know y'all are shocked about that. And I'm going to say this is not an easy task. It's going to create more work. But to me, public transparency, it's worth that. And so I'm withdrawing the bill, and I'm going to ask another council member to take over the bill and hopefully, at least at a bare minimum, require that the rules and regulations from departments, boards, and commissions be placed in one central location just like the state does with the Secretary of State. Because I will challenge any of you to try to find a regulation that you're looking for. And a funny thing is, a department even admitted to me that they've lost a regulation before. So, and I challenge the public to find out regulations. And I know I'm talking about a withdrawn bill, but this is something that I'm passionate about, and hopefully you'll see it next council. So thank you for your time, and I renew my motion to withdraw the bill.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of withdrawal, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is BL 2011-952, amends the Metro Code to allow public art funds to be used for the commissioning and installation of statues, memorials, and monuments. Councilmember Wilhoit.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I'm just going to defer this indefinitely, and I'd like to give a brief explanation on this.
We have a motion and a second for indefinite deferral. Councilmember.
Vice Mayor, members of council, in the last meeting we discussed what was my intent behind the legislation to establish a criteria that would allow the Arts Commission to establish a monument that will recognize such credible and very important events such as the sit-in, the civil rights movement of the sit-in initiatives, as well as the Freedom Riders. And as a result of it, of course, you were so kind to suggest that I deferred and work it out with the Arts Commission, and I held that promise, and I went to see the Arts Commissioner on Friday and talk with her and understand what are the concerns, because I had not been informed of what those concerns were, only from other council members. What it has come down to is that the Arts Commission actually has this ability in order to make a memorial or an event definitive and not just inspired. They still have that ability. This would just be another way of, in a sense, codifying what they already can do. We looked at, Ms. Jen Cole was so kind to go through some of the process, and one of the process of the steps was that there is a Citizens Advisory Committee, and I asked the question, could not the Freedom Rider participant, as well as the the sit-in participants or any of the participants from that era be able to be on the Citizens Advisory Committee? And the answer was yes. So that will be some input that I think is needed and necessary from those that experience the harshness of this time to bring about the goodness of this time. And that is something that is a part of the process that they definitely wanted to have input on and be able to be a part of it. So with that being said, I still believe that we are so behind in Nashville to not have a monument, to not have any type of dedication that can help us teach our children, all children, about the importance of that time and what it has done for each and every one of us, regardless of what background or demographic that you may come from. So with that being said, I will defer this indefinitely. I look forward to working with the Freedom Riders and sit-in participant and every participant in reference to making this come to fruition. I appreciate the mayor for writing his letter to the Arts Commission, stating his support for such an establishment, and I think that this is only right and it's only fitting that we do this. So with that being said, I thank you and I ask you for an indefinite deferral.
All in favor of indefinite deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Indefinite deferral passes. Next is BL 2011-956, amends the Metro Code to make changes to the requirements applicable to non-taxi passenger vehicles for hire. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to not approve, 2 for, 9 against, 4 abstention.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. There is an amendment on the bill. Do you want that report first?
Is the report different for the amendment? Okay. On the amendment.
Okay, on the amendment, we had quite a conversation, a lengthy conversation about this bill. In fact, every member of the Public Safety Committee was in attendance. It was a very long meeting, very contentious meeting, but we got through it. The amendment, the vote was 7 against, 2 in favor.
Okay. Now the bill.
Okay, after we finished getting through that part of the political process, the parliamentary procedure, we went through every parliamentary procedure except the division of the House. After finishing that, we came up with the grand recommendation of no recommendation on the bill. That was the report from the committee. No recommendation.
Councilmember Page.
Transportation and aviation was not quite that exciting, nor that well attended. At the request of the sponsor, we support the withdrawal, 3 in favor, 0 against.
Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I just wanted to withdraw this, so. But public safety did make me think running for re-election, so I would move for withdrawal, please.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of withdrawal, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The motion to withdraw passes. BL 2011-957 amends the Metro Code pertaining to the metering of water consumption and sewer use by commercial class customers in the Department of Water and Sewage Services. Councilmember Toller.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works voted to defer 5-0.
Councilmember Toller.
Thank you, and I ask for deferral with a brief explanation.
We have
please.
a motion and a second. Councilman Toller.
Thank you. This has been discussed at 2 various committee meetings twice, and we came up with the fact that it was such a confusing situation that I would ask for deferral, but Metro Water has committed to, in the next term, to working with the customers that have an issue related as to how they're billed or credited for sewer service. Thank you, and I ask for
Your
deferral.
motion is for indefinite deferral.
Yes, ma'am.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-962 amends the Metro Code to designate the Department of Public Works as an additional agency for the enforcement of ordinances prohibiting the placement of signs on utility poles in the public right-of-way and on public property. Councilman Tigert.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Wilhoit. Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works voted to approve 5 in favor, 0 against. Codes voted to approve 5 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilman Tiger.
Thank you.
Thank you. How I wish this had been referred to Council Lady Langster's committee also. I would move approval with a very brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman Tiger.
Thank you. One of the outcomes of the Illegal Sign Summit that was conducted several months ago is the offer from Public Works to become an enforcement agency on some of our illegal signage along our public right-of-way. I appreciate Mr. Lynch and his inspectors for their willingness to take this responsibility on, and I would once again renew my motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Wilhoit, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to stand and commend Councilmember Tiger for his work in reference to this particular sign ordinance. I think it's needed and necessary. I think that, you know, these signs as they go up, especially during this season as we all are running for various offices, it's unfortunate that we have to put more labor on departments when we should have the responsibility of taking them down. So I just want to take this liberty that as we go through this election season, please make sure you remove your signs immediately. Once the election's over, I will be a part of that process as well. Thank you, Mr. Tiger.
All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. 962 passes. BL 2011-963 names the bridge on Newsom Station Road over the Harpeth River in honor and memory of Danny Tomlinson. Councilmember Tiger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works approved 5 for, 0 against.
Councilman Tiger.
Thank you. I would move approval with a brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman.
The Tomlinson family, I can only imagine the grief that they went through during the 5-6 months that Mr. Tomlinson was unlocated in the aftermath of the flood, and I appreciate the family coming and asking this body to commemorate his life as we have done in other cases in Councilman Matthews' district and also in the 22nd and 35th districts. So I renew my motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-964 approves the disposition of real property at 106 Old Brick Church Pike in Goodlettsville by the Director of Public Property. Councilmember Ryman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted to approve as amended, 15 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9 for, 0 against.
Councilmember Maynard.
Parks disapproval of the amendment 5-0, but approved of the original bill 5-0.
Thank you. Councilman Ryman.
I'm going to move the bill as amended, and I would like to explain
Move the amendment. If you have a motion and a second on the amendment. Councilman?
Yes.
All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Amendment passes. Councilman?
All right. What the amendment did was to no, I already passed the amendment. I move the bill as approved.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Councilman Crafton.
Thank you. I just had a question for my own personal knowledge. When we move these to be sold or moved into surplus property, this may be Mr. Riebling. Let's say, for example, I wanted to purchase this library. How do we go about that, and how is the price determined? Is it just a couple of appraisals, or do you just make an offer, say, I'll give you X for it, and how does that work?
In this instance, Councilman, I'm
just talking about in general.
Well, first it's asked if anybody in any other agency of metropolitan government wants it, and if not, then we typically put it up on eBid for public sale.
Is there a minimum bid, or just?
It changes. Some have a minimum bid, and some they don't. But usually we'll have an appraisal, and that's usually the minimum bid.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. 964 passes.
We got that.
BL 2011-965 approves an agreement between the Department of Public Works and Creative Outdoor Advertising of America to provide a public right-of-way recycling and waste collection system within the USD with sponsorship rights. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report, please.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 15-4, 0 against. I move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-966 approves a lease agreement with the State Department of Transportation in relation to the construction and maintenance of a berm. Councilmember Hodge.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works voted to approve 5-4, 0 against. Move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-967 authorizes Anopus, Inc. to install, construct, and maintain an underground and aerial encroachment within the right-of-way of Centennial Boulevard. Councilmember Hunt.
Committee report, please.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works approved 5-4, 0 against.
Councilman Hunt.
Move for approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-968 authorizes Nashville Data Link, Inc. to install, construct, and maintain an underground and aerial encroachment at Murfreesboro Road at Elm Hill Pike, Orr Avenue, Rundle Avenue, and Fezler's Lane. Councilmember Hunt.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works approved 6-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hunt.
Move for approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-969 approves a lease agreement with the State Department of Transportation in relation to the gateway to the Heritage Streetscape improvements. Councilmember Berry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works approved 6-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-970 approves a contribution in the amount of $50,000 from Syntex Homes for road improvements at the intersection of Hamilton Church Road and Mountain View Road. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 9-4, 0 against.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 6 in favor, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
I move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2008-351 amends the Metro Code to provide maintenance standards for bridges owned or maintained by railroad companies. Councilmember Gatto.
Committee report.
Berry. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance deferred by rule, 15-4, 0 against.
Councilmember Gatto.
This bill was indefinitely suspended or indefinitely deferred for over 180 days, so it has to be deferred one meeting by rule.
Okay. It will be deferred till the next meeting. Next is BL 2011-885, changes 25.93 acres from RS-15 to SP zoning for properties located at 4124, 4140, 4144, 4156 Central Pike, and at 6002 South New Hope Road to permit a mixed-use development consisting of office, retail, commercial, restaurant, multifamily, and live-work uses. Councilmember Gatto.
All committee reports are in. I do have an amendment, so I'd like to move that amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Yeah, what this amendment does, it adds additional conditions to the SP that were a result of the community meetings we had, and I renew my motion on the amendment.
All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no.
I move the bill as amended.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the bill as amended, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-953 amends the Metro Code by adopting the 2011 edition of the National Electric Code and amendments thereto. Councilmember Wilhoit.
Yes, Vice Mayor, the committee has already approved it. It's already been approved by our committee.
Move approval.
And I ask you for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-954 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of Crestview Drive right-of-way. Councilmember McGuire.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Fortunately, there are no committee reports, so I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-955 readopts the Metro Code to include supplemental and replacement pages containing certain ordinances of a general and permanent nature enacted on or before March 22nd, 2011. Councilmember Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe there's no committee reports either, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-958 abandons water and sanitary sewer lines and accepts the 12-inch sanitary sewer and easement for properties located at Rosa Parks Boulevard, Commerce Street, 7th Avenue North, and Church Street. Councilmember Hodge.
Move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-959 authorizes the filing with the Register of Deeds a notice of land use restrictions for the Old Due West landfill site. Councilmember Hodge.
Move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. 959 passes. BL 2011-960 abandons an existing drainage easement on a portion of property located at 830 Gale Lane. Councilmember Hodge.
Move approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-961 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of Trousdale Drive right-of-way. Councilmember Toller.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I believe all committee reports are in, and therefore I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1780 calls for the resignation of Davidson County Clerk John Ariola. Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm going to need to move this bill with committee reports.
Councilman Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The committee moved to defer one meeting. 11 for, none against.
Thank you. Councilman Duvall.
Thank you. I reluctantly move to defer this bill.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the deferral, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1781 requests the mayor to appoint a committee to organize a sports summit to increase the use of sporting events in Nashville as a tool to promote economic development and tourism. Councilman Tigert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee report.
Councilman Ryman.
Committee on Tourism Committee approved 8 for, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilman Ryman. Councilman Tigert.
I would move approval with a very brief explanation.
Councilman.
Thank you.
Enough?
The sports in this city has come a long way. As a kid, I would never imagine that we would have one, much less 2 pro franchises. But I think one area that we're overlooking is youth sports, especially the facilities to host not only our neighborhood leagues, but also national, regional events of various types. So I think if the mayor will appoint the right people, we can have the discussion along with our sports council, the parks department and others, and Nashville could be a true destination and a leader in this industry. Thank you, and I renew my motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.